So what's going on YouTube? Um, my name is Nerdy. Well, for this channel it is. My real name is actually Isaiah. Um, I'm a bit of a nerd. Uh, and yeah, I have a very guilty pleasure, and that guilty pleasure is playing Yu-Gi-Oh, man. I'm old as hell and still playing Yu-Gi-Oh. The reason why I'm creating this video is because I didn't want to keep commenting in somebody else's on somebody else's channel about a question I asked, which is why everybody's concerned with Dark Magician being or having ritual support, if that's what it is. So a couple of days ago, for those who don't know, Tactical Tri Pack got announced with its three themes, and one of the three themes was Black Magic, and Black Magic is essentially Dark Magician support, which you could tell by the fact that one, the monster they decided to introduce name is Dark Magician of Destruction or Ruin, which makes it a retrain of Dark Magician of Chaos or Magician of Black Chaos. They obviously decided to do that to coincide with the release of Rush Duel's version of Magician of Black Chaos. And with that being said, Black Magic, Kuromado, the katakana for Dark Magician, which is Kuromadoshi, which means Black Magician, you know that it's going to be Dark Magician support. So with it being Dark Magician support and with it showing that the support is incorporating the third retrain of Magician of Black Chaos, because it is the third retrain. The first retrain was Dark Magician of Chaos, which was a regular effect monster. And the second retrain was Magician of Black Chaos Max, which was the Chaos Max version of Magician of Black Chaos. You kind of just feel like it's going to be ritual support. With that being said, a lot of the YouTubers that I saw make comment on the support were like, I hope that this isn't ritual support. Which I get the stigma between of ritual support in general. It is one of those very complicated how can I put it? It's one of those very complicated mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where a lot of people don't really want to get into it. But we've also seen Konami make really good ritual archetypes. Like really good ritual archetypes. Like Voiceless was a good ritual archetype. Drytron was, of course, a really good ritual archetype. Even Mitsurugi is shaping up to be a really good ritual archetype if they don't drop the ball with the support in the next set in May, right? So what we are looking at is, why is everybody so concerned with it being ritual support? And I asked that question on I think it was just Nuts Productions video when he was going over the support, and I got a lot of answers. A lot of answers I agree with, some I don't agree with, some I already know. I understand what Dark Magician needs. I understand like why people want to shift to focus on other things for Dark Magician. I get that. Um, but why not ritual support? And I guess that's what this video is basically going to be about. So let's start with like what Dark Magician needs. So Dark Magician is an old behind archetype. The cards are old. Some of them really old. And the most important cards, Eternal Souls, Dark Magical Circle, are extremely old, kind of outdated, right? It takes a whole lot to set those up. Your opponent can too easily stop you from setting those up. And with that being said, it makes the deck like a bit wonky. It's just not good for current Yu-Gi-Oh, right? But that's in general. When I play Dark Magician current day, 2025, 2024, Dark Magician's too slow. And that's the problem. That's the real problem. Dark Magician's just not fast enough. The deck, it's like modern day Yu-Gi-Oh needs decks to be mid-range decks that set up first turn and is able to punch for game on the third turn. So if you go first and you're able to set up your complete board the first turn, you should be able to punch for game the third turn. That's basically what most decks in modern Yu-Gi-Oh do now. With a proper amount of support and with enough support. If it has at least like 12, 14 cards in the engine, plus whatever you were able to sprinkle in with it to make it work, it basically does that. Even Odeon at this point does that, right? So what are we looking at for Dark Magician to make it get that consistency, speed that it needs? I saw a lot of people say it needs to focus more on the extra deck. We have enough main deck monsters. It focuses on a vanilla level 7 monster. Okay, but so did Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes' whole focus is still a vanilla level 8 monster. Its primary cards just help summon it out faster, correct? So Blue Eyes' focus is the same thing. You can't say that that's the problem, right? Because Blue Eyes does the same thing. It's just it does it faster. Like, I can get to Blue Eyes White Dragon faster with the new support that just recently came out to Blue Eyes, for Blue Eyes, and then I can get into the extra deck more quickly because of that support. That's what it does. If that's what you wanted, you can't say that, oh, we just need more extra deck monsters. No, you need more support in general. Blue Eyes got 8 cards, and it went from being meh to being okay, now it's meta relevant, right? So if Dark Magician gets 8 cards, it should be good. It should be good to go. Because at one point, Dark Magician was with Blue Eyes, then it wasn't anymore. Because it was just a house of bricks, yo. You had to play 3 Dark Magicians, 3 Magicians, Magician of Dark Illusion, 6 level 7 monsters in a deck with 3 rods, and that's not enough to get the game going, right? But then we got Soul Servant, we got Eternal Soul, we thought that would fix it. We got Apprentice Illusion Magician, we thought that would fix it a bit. Didn't help a whole lot. Then we started getting cards that helped Dark Magician Girl become a bigger part of the deck, and that helped a bit, but it didn't help a lot. It's the same thing. The main gimmick of Dark Magician right now is the heart of the cards. What do I mean by that? I mean, every consistency card that Dark Magician has is made to make it so you can get to the card you need when you need it. The problem is that's stoppable because in real life Yu-Gi-Oh, we have hand traps. This is not Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, the anime, and your opponent cannot interact with you unless they have trap cards on the field. That's not what this is. This is real life Yu-Gi-Oh! Modern day. The opponent can interact with you with cards from their hand. So Yugi's strategy of Heart of the Cards, the gimmick that they gave Dark Magician, is not going to work modern day. We need a way to stop those hand traps from stopping us from setting up. And that's the problem. We have a problem setting up. That's Dark Magician's primary issue, is its setup. It cannot set up quick enough. And it's very hard to set up. So everybody's like, just giving us more boss monsters in the main deck doesn't help us set up. Well, giving you extra deck monsters doesn't necessarily help you set up either. So what are we talking about? So I don't understand what the problem with the support being ritual based. Now, if you said, hey, we need at least 1 extra deck monster, I'd agree with that. I think we need a Link 1. I think we need a Link 1, just like Blue Eyes got a Link 1. I think it needs to be a monster that only requires a level 4 or lower spellcaster monster, which means Rod or Souls can be used for it. And I think it needs to be able to search a Dark Magician monster, or a monster that mentions Dark Magician. This way, all the monsters are searchable. This includes the ritual monsters that you're going to put in the main deck, if we're going to go the ritual route, right? If we're going the ritual route, and that's what you're going to do, which it seems like you're going to do because of the fact that you're retraining Magician of Black Chaos, which was originally a ritual monster. Then it became an effect monster as Dark Magician of Chaos. Then it went back to being a ritual monster in the form of Magician of Black Chaos Max. If we make it so the link 1 searches any monster that mentions Dark Magician, then in the text, or it searches Dark Magician in general, we're in the money. We basically can get to any card that we need to get to. If you stop Rod, I can link Rod off into the link monster and then search Illusion, and then Illusion still jump me into gameplay, right? And if I have to play 3 circles, which doesn't feel good, then I just have to play 3 circles. That's what it is. I'd rather circles be a 1 to a 2 of type card. With the new support, I'd rather it get dropped to 2 at max. So what I'm saying is we need cards that increase the consistency of getting to our monsters. And then we need cards that increase the ability to set up the actual cards that we're putting on field. With that being said, okay, cool. If you wanted a synchro monster because Blue Eyes got an Xyz monster and Dark Magician was the Xyz deck, and you want a synchro monster because Blue Eyes got a synchro monster, then let's get a synchro monster going. But Dark Magician got no tuners. You literally have to make it so the synchro monster we get is along the lines of Chaos Angel, where as long as you're using Dark Magician, the other card does not have to be a tuner monster. Dark Magician acts as the tuner. And then you make it a level 8 or a level 10 because you are using either Rod or Souls to get the card out, right? So you should probably make it a level 8. Because 9 times out of 10, Souls is going to be the more likely card to be out at the same time as Dark Magician. Because it's just easier to get out there. And you're not wasting your normal summon. And your normal summon and your Rod is probably going to be more than likely used for the link summon if we get a link monster. So basically, if you're doing those 2 extra deck monsters, cool, that's fine. You're probably going to be running 2 of the new link monster, if that's what the link monster does. And you're probably going to be running 1 of that new synchro monster. And if that synchro monster does anything, it needs to be an effect negation type of card of some kind. I think it should be a spell trap negate. But that's me. Because the cards that we have that run negation need to be on the field or already in the graveyard. For those that don't know what cards have negation in Dark Magician because they don't play the Dark Magician archetype, that's Magician's Navigation. It doesn't do it the same turn it was sent to the graveyard. So we have to wait till the next turn to use its negation effect, and it's got to get banished from the graveyard. We got Magician's Combination, but that requires you to have a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician girl in the graveyard with the opposing monster, so either the Dark Magician or the Dark Magician girl, on the field, so they can switch off for that negate to work. And Magician's Combination just sucks in general, so we don't really want to play Magician's Combination. I don't care about playing Magician's Navigation because it sets up having a Dark Magician on field. We can pitch Magician's Navigation from her hand if we're playing Timaeus, the United Dragon, and we can pitch it from the hand if we're playing Apprentice Illusion Magician. So I don't really care about having navigation at more than 1 in the deck, because at the end of the day, I can pitch that, right? It's pitchable. I can send that to the graveyard and it just be like, okay, I'm just using it for negation more so than using it for summoning my Dark Magician, right? So that's my thing with those. But having a ritual-based strategy shouldn't really matter. The card that they revealed was Dark Magician of Destruction, which, like I said, it really looks like it's Magician of Black Chaos retrained again for the 3rd time. So if that's what we're doing, and the last one was a ritual monster, and they're not doing a pattern of ritual monster, effect monster, ritual monster, effect monster, then this new Dark Magician of Destruction or Ruin is going to be a ritual monster. That's just my opinion, but that's following the trend of what's going on. If that's the case, then I think that we need to have a way to more precisely get to our ritual monsters, which is why the Link monster with the specific effect that I said is so important, right? But if we just get that and we get a spell trap negate, I'd be happy. If we get a ritual, if we get a Link 1 that searches our Dark Magician monsters or monsters that mention Dark Magician, we get a synchro monster or some kind of extra deck monster that negates other than freaking Dragoon, and we're able to more easily get into these cards, I'm down for that extra deck support. I'm not down for more extra deck support that I gotta put more time into wasting all my materials in my hand to get to. Extra deck support ain't the answer. The answer is consistency within that main deck. So if the extra deck supports the consistency within the main deck, I'd be like, okay, linking is the way to go. But then the problem with having all new Link monsters is that means it's going to be a Link climb strategy in Dark Magician. They would have to come out with more monsters, and so you're still putting more monster cards in the main deck, which the thing that you're complaining about, you still have to do because you have to figure out a way to get enough monsters to climb into the monster. Because they're not just going to give you a Link 1 and then go like, okay, that's the only card we're giving you. It's supposed to be new support. The pack itself says that you're supposed to be able to play the deck without having to have the cards, without having to have the new Dark Magician, the old Dark Magician stuff. So it's supposed to be able to play for itself as something totally separate and play with the old part of the strategy, so it's even better. That was the whole point of Tactical Tri-Pack. That's what it says. So if you're thinking about it like that, then yeah, getting new monsters and stuff like that that you don't need the old Dark Magician stuff to work for is fine. But then it's not Dark Magician support, in my opinion. You're not really playing Dark Magician. You're playing Magician of Black Chaos. It's different. Or what they call Dark Magic, Black Magic. So it's a sub-archetype of Dark Magician, and it can play by on its own. It doesn't need Dark Magician. It is an engine. It is not an actual deck. And that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! Has become these days, is engines. You don't get full decks, you get engines. And those engines get supplemented by non-engine, which are hand traps and other cards that help disrupt your opponent. And then they make a full deck. So you might get 12 cards, which you play some of those cards in multiples of, and then you get 10 cards, 15 cards of non-engine, which then creates a deck. That deck goes off and it plays and it does what it has to do. And it's good. I'm not denying that at all. It's good. But it's not a deck. It's not a deck. And that's what I'm basically saying. It's not an archetype. It's a deck. It's a sub-archetype of another archetype that already exists. So if Dark Magic ends up being something separate from Dark Magician, but not separate from Dark Magician, it's going to be like cards that actually supplement the engine. It doesn't matter if it's ritual or not. Because what's going to end up happening is it's going to be cards that end up increasing the ceiling of these old ass cards that we already have. That's what I was trying to say. So I don't understand why everybody was making a big fuss about it being ritual support. Even if it's ritual support, it doesn't matter. The ritual support that Dark Magician has right now is actually pretty decent. It's just difficult to put it on the field. You have to use too much, and it takes too much setup in order to put it on the field. But when you actually gain the setup, if you manage to get the setup, it's actually still pretty good. The card itself isn't bad. It's just the deck is old and slow. That's the same point. I was talking to one person in the comments, and they were saying Magician of Chaos is a bad card because I mentioned Magician of Chaos being a good card. It is a good card. On paper, it's a good card. On activation of a spell card, I get a pop. You know how many cards do that? And how many new cards just came out that do that? Divine Serpent of Apophis does that. That's a new card, right? Does the same thing. When a Continuous Trap Monster activates, I get a pop. It's once per turn. Magician of Chaos does the same thing, but it was doing it before Divine Apophis was doing it. Right? Same thing is what I'm saying. So it's like, it's not a bad card on paper. The problem is it's hard to get out. It's hard to get the setup. And that's what you mean. You don't mean that it's a bad card. And I'm sorry that I'm trying to put words in your mouth. If you actually see this video, whoever I was talking to, I'm not really trying to put words in your mouth. What I'm trying to explain is it's not the card itself that's bad. It's the strategy that it's in. It's slow. It's hard to set up. And I get that. And I understand that. And I overstand that. I wasn't passionate about the deck being good. It's not good by today's standards. And I already understood that. What I'm saying is the way you build the deck, the way the deck plays, the way you play the deck determines how good the deck is. It's not about what's in the deck. We can see that with, didn't somebody play like freaking what's it called, Sky Strikers, before all this support came out, and top of regional or something like that, like and that was like a year ago, right? And Sky Strikers without the newer support is trash. It's good in a sense, but it's not fast, not by the standards of what these decks are now. So therein lies my point that I'm trying to make, is it depends on the pilot. It depends on like their understanding of how to play the deck. The deck is as good as the pilot's going to be. Shouldn't matter that it's ritual support. Fact of the matter is, if Dark Magician of Destruction's name means anything to its effect is probably going to be a mass removal effect, right? Something similar to the Mitsurugi monster Morokumo, or something similar to King of Demise. It's gonna hit the board. It's gonna Raigeki everything. If that be the case, or it's gonna hit the board and it's gonna Dark Burning Magic everything, which means everything on your opponent's side of the board is gonna get destroyed. Spells and monsters, not just spells, and not just monsters. If that's the case and the whole point is to clear board, the main thing that Dark Magician is going to shift to in its play style is going to be trying to clear the board so you can punch for game. That's what I'm getting from this. Because the main point before was to set up so you can clear board, so you can punch for game. It's still the same strategy. It's just a quicker version of it, because of the fact that you can put this card on board whenever. Technically, because you have a quick play spell card that ritual summons the monster, as long as you're using Dark Magician to ritual summon the monster. Secrets of Dark Magic, which again, somebody told me that that's a bad card. It's not a bad card. It's actually quite a good card. Is good because it summons the card on your opponent's turn. Doesn't have the card already on the board, which means the card can't get negated immediately. You get what I'm saying? They can't go, all right, I'm an infinite impermanence that before I start playing, this way you can't pop my cards. They can't go, I'm a Dark Ruler no more that before I start playing, so this way you can't interrupt me by popping what I have on board. They can't go, oh, I'm a quick play, use Forbidden Droplets to stop what you're doing with that card's effect before you pop my cards. They can't do that because you summoned it during their turn. It's like something happened during their turn. And if they try to activate something else to stop it as a chained effect, they would have to use something like an Effect Veiler, which might be able to be stopped depending on what you have, because you can actually call by the grave the Effect Veiler if you set that, or you can stop it with a Crossout Designator if you set that. But that's doing too much. Dark Magician just needs a monster negate, a spell negate, and a freaking way to search all the monsters in the main deck. It gets that, and it gets its consistency down in order to start setting up plays. It doesn't matter if it's a ritual based archetype at that point, or ritual based support at that point, because if I'm able to get into everything and I'm able to search pretty much everything in the deck, like every other deck seems to do, it seems to be able to search its key pieces in order to set up on that first turn. It doesn't matter as long as I can set up on that first turn. If I can set up on that first turn, I'm good. Because 9 times out of 10, if I can punch on that third turn, I'm good. The other thing about this is now that means that Dark Magician is a going first deck, which it's always been. If you want it to be a going second deck, it still needs some more oomph in order to go second. So we need other cards in the main deck, regardless, that's going to make it be able to go second as well. So ritual support doesn't sound bad to me. I just need some comments in the comment section. Let's discuss it. Like, let's really have a conversation about it. Like, what is really so bad about ritual support? What is different about getting link support from getting the ritual support? Because the main concepts that are going to make the deck play well or make the deck meta relevant or at least rogue tier are still the same. You need a searcher for the actual monsters and all of the monsters, not just the plain old ordinary monsters, the ritual monsters as well. Because all Illusion of Chaos does is search the regular monsters. It doesn't allow you to search the ritual monsters. You actually have to use Soul Servant to stack your deck with the ritual monsters and then pick the ritual monster off the top by banishing the Soul Servant or utilizing the circle if you have circle in your hand. So we're not getting anywhere with that. You know what I mean? It's the setup is hard. It's really hard. Salvation allows you to set the Eternal Soul, and that's fine. But that's only if your opponent don't Ash, Veiler, Dominus Purge, Dominus Impulse, whatever negation effect, that rod. Because once that rod gets hit or negated, if it gets destroyed on top of that, you don't have a play, bro. Your play goes away. You have a soul or magician souls, and all it does is summons the dark magician, but it doesn't set up the field for real. So you're not getting anywhere, bro. And there's a whole lot of boss monsters that's stronger than dark magician in terms of attack, dude. It's only a 2500 beat stick. You got 3k beat sticks. You got 3500 beat sticks. You got 4500 beat sticks coming out of Blue Eyes, and then you got daggone Detonator itself is a 3k beat stick. You got Malice that you can use the Firewall Dragon support, like Terahertz and regular Firewall Dragon, and then that other Link 5 Firewall Dragon, and just murder you. The same thing with daggone Access Code Talker. Even if it went into Access Code Talker, go to Access Code Talker, pop your Dark Magician, and then continue on, punch for game. You're not really doing anything, dude. You have to set up the whole entire board. But every deck requires setup. So again, I just need some comments in the comments section. Talk to me. Like, what do y'all think that Dark Magician really needs to actually be relevant in meta? Do you agree with me that we need some kind of monster searcher, a spell negate, and a trap negate? Do y'all think Dragoon is enough? Because I personally don't. Do you think that we need to unfocus from main deck and focus more on the extra deck? Why? Is that really helping Dark Magician at all? Comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think, because I really want to know.